Yeah. Alright, so I'm pretty sure a lot of us have thought to ourselves about how we're gonna make enough money to make a decent living, or like just to live comfortably. And so I know a lot of us want to study things that we're passionate about. A lot of them aren't like heavy on like money making, or like they don't really have a like by going into things like anthropology or sociology, or in my case music, like we don't really have a laid out path for us, and things aren't quite as set as like maybe doctors or nurses, and so being that I'm going into music performance and that I'm majoring, and that is my major as a jazz musician, like I had to find out how exactly am I going to make a living. So today I'm going to explain to you the different ways in which we can survive, because usually if you meet someone who's a musician, you don't really expect them to, be making, or you don't expect the average musician to be making a comfortable living. And so, so the three ways that I'm going to mainly explain to you for performing musicians are the session gigs, the teaching gigs, and doing original work, having your own band. And so, first of all, one of the main ways to make money is to be a session musician. And a session musician is basically any musician who's just hired for that one particular event or recording. And so these guys just get paid at the gig, or per gig, or for a lineup of gigs. And you usually see these guys on TV, like they're usually like the backup band, or you'll hear them like as the musicians backing up the like the top 40 artists on the radio. And so to be a session musician, as explained by Rob Bowman in the Continuum Encyclopedia of Popular Music, you're generally expected to be able to sight read music notation quickly and accurately, and transpose from one key to another instantly, and basically just be able to do a bunch of things that no average musician can do. You have to be able to think quickly, and you have to be, and if called for, you have to be able to think creatively. And if it isn't a jazz gig, then it's expected that they'll do their parts how they're told to do it, that they have to follow direction, and that they shouldn't impose their own artistic will on the director. And so the recording studio is one of the main places that you'll find session musicians. They usually get paid on a per hour, either per hour or per track. So per track, professional musicians usually charge about 100 to 150. If you're like at the top, of course you're going to charge more, and you will charge more for higher or for bigger gigs, like with bigger artists. And so it's recording session gigs at recording studios are a good way to make a living if you like become known for it in the music community. And then the other place where you'll be doing session gigs is live in concert, anywhere from churches to bars to big concert outdoor arena events. And And so special occasions like wedding parties and stuff, they tend to pay pretty decently, around 150 to 500 per musician. And restaurants and bars don't pay too well, but they're okay for a little bit of extra money, and those gigs are really easy to get. Also, for like experienced and for the experienced musicians, there's not much rehearsal involved, because as a session musician, you're expected to be able to just pick up things like that. Nice. All right, so another way to make money is to start your own group, do original music. The problem with this is it's hard. It's really hard to get started. You'll be doing free gigs like for a while. Like I know I'm in my friend's Latin band, and like, for like the first 3 months we were just doing like free gigs at bars and stuff. But slowly we're growing, and like we're getting better gigs, better paying gigs, and we're just slowly progressing. And so, yeah, and pretty much now the most stable way to make a living as a performing musician is to be a teacher. The reason why I include teaching as being part of a performer's life is because in order to be a good teacher, you have to be an experienced performer. And so for this, at least to become a teacher, you would need at least a bachelor's degree and a teaching credential, but most of the guys teaching now have at least a master's degree, and especially for the universities. And probably the most important thing, like when it comes to getting good teaching jobs, is just to be well known in the area as a great musician. Like my teacher right now, he's like in the musician community, he's like the top organ player in California, and so he just gets gigs everywhere, and he teaches at so many schools down here in California, and he makes a lot of money. And so full-time professors on average make about $80,000 coming from salary.com, and at the same time many of these guys do take part-time jobs with a lot of other schools to make even more money. And then to add on top of that, they can give private lessons charging anywhere from $30 to $60 an hour, or if they do become one of the top guys, they can charge anywhere over $100 an hour per lesson. So yeah, today I talked about the ways in which a performing musician can make a living. Typically, these musicians, or professional musicians, will do all of the three things above, or we'll be doing session gigs, we'll be doing original work, we'll be teaching. So if we do get good enough, then there's a lot of money to be made, and can live stable lives, and we're not just going to be poor. And so if you ever have a kid who loves music and wants to pursue it professionally, you don't need to discourage it, because there's this way to make a stable living.
Right, on Thursday, we're going to do the speeches first. I'll post directions for you on my gateway, but they're pretty simple. They're short impromptu speeches.